We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week is the undisputed scholar himself. You know him. You love him. He smells like freshly baked croutons. He is Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how are you doing this evening?
I really do not smell like freshly made croutons, but thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome. It's what I do. And after the week we've had in professional wrestling, we need some optimism wherever we can find it. So without further ado, I'm sure you know what we're talking about. So let's dive right into a little segment we like to call Backstage News.
Oh, I did not realize you're setting me up to do the Brian part already. No, we'll just go ahead, peek behind that curtain and see that really both sides of the fence have a kind of sad news this week. In a little bit of backstage news.
We're thrown off without Brian, man.
It's just more. Yeah, it's like, how do I make a setup pun for kind of sad news on both sides on AEW and WWE standards, but you really can't. So yeah, let's just go right backstage news.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'd actually disagree with you on. We got word this week that Jon Moxley of AEW fame currently is checking himself into an inpatient alcohol rehab facility. And one thing that I have to admit, it's as much as this may sound like at first like an issue, like a really bit of sad news, I for one am actually pleased by how many people it seems that are just so positive and encouraged by this news. And really just everyone seems like they're almost universally in Moxley's corner about this. Break it down for me. What was your reaction?
It's my initial reaction was just it's sad that he's worked himself so hard that he's put himself in a position where he has to check himself in. And it's like similar to what CM Punk said in his promo on Dynamite. Like when you have to basically work yourself so hard and push yourself to that part where he has to be drinking and getting himself in that position that, I have to, I think I have a little bit of a problem. It's very strong on his end. It's very you have to be very proud of him to at least admit he has a problem. And the people supporting him really are that encouragement. And he's the sign of that encouragement that people, they don't have to do things on their own. They need to, if they need help, they can get help. There are people there to extend that hand to help you become a better person and fight the demons that you pretty much have in your position.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was a little shocked initially because I didn't realize he was drinking that heavily. But once I took a bit of a pause and I thought back to other things that I've seen, his face seemed a little bit redder than normal lately. He just had his first kid. I know that he and Renee are just sort of casual social drinkers. It's all over the place.
And I'm sure his kid was a huge factor in him doing, okay, I gotta cut this shit out of me.
Yeah.
In a term. And
absolutely.
That's a very strong encouragement for it. As a parent, you want to be the best in the best place you are physically and emotionally. And this is a big thing. And what I meant by kind of sad news on both ends, it's just sad that he has pushed himself to that point where he has to do it. That's the sad, but the result of it and the response to it is the positive, is encouraging, is just showing the positive ends of what this the wrestling community really has, at least on the AEW side, because
Yeah,
We
there's
all know what comes on that other side.
yeah, there's always going to be some hypercritical, overly talkative wrestling fan who's going to say something eventually. We've all seen it. But it's funny when I've heard CM Punk's comments on the matter, and while I'm sure that there is some overlap there, the first thing that actually jumped out to me was, because I have seen this, there has been some talk about him in the past. There has been some subtext of John Moxley's childhood not being so good. I think in an interview with Roman Reigns, he even said that he was really nervous. Had a lot of anxiety about being a parent. And so if that's true, that because of his upbringing, that he may have been drinking more than he normally does. If he's that anxious, if he's not coping with it properly, that could have been, it's not certainly not the only one, but that alone must be a huge deal, because I've seen it happen with other parents who were social drinkers like John Moxley, and they went down that path and just let it go down that road, and never once did they think they had a problem. Thank God Moxley does.
Yeah, well, considering what he does for a living, it's probably easier to notice that, yeah, maybe I do have sort of a problem. And yes, I do agree with what you said earlier, that he has been looking, in your report, redder than usual. He does seem off, as the best, like more off than what John Moxley's usually off about.
Yeah, it's not the good kind of off that we pay tickets to see.
It's not the character of John Moxley off. This is the man behind it is seeming a little off. And yeah, there's nothing really more else to say. I can really say it's like, it's very good that he's doing this, and I am 100 full support. Hopefully he gets the right help that he needs, and with this much encouragement from the wrestling community, his wife, friends, he's gonna get it. He's gonna beat this. And it's sad that it came at the cost of how he of his spot in the tournament. But yeah, that your physical well-being is much more important. But and another glass half full, we got Miro, who actually gets put in this tournament and actually works to the story of
heck yeah,
the tournament itself and the push in general. I mean, I am super pumped for now Miro versus Bryan Danielson. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, that it's we're talking about AEW here. They've got a stacked enough roster where we're still going to get gold no matter what. And we're also talking John Moxley, who, let's be real, he's Teflon at this point. In AEW, he's just going to be just fine. He can come back and have a killer feud with anybody. But as far as the big priorities, I'm sorry, Fool, you were going to say?
It's just now, it looks like they were kind of setting up Moxley as in a heel turn fashion. It looks like now, with everything that's going on in AEW, fully acknowledging what's going on. There's no what's the word? Like storyline reason for him to be off TV, as something probably what WWE would have done. This is this is the real life situation where this is what's happening. You know what's happening. We're not dumbing down the audience. I think now whatever like possible heel turn that could have come from Moxley's run in this tournament looks like it's kind of out the window. And if anything, it looks now more towards Eddie Kingston with his upcoming feud with CM Punk, because I think it's if you're going to turn one of those guys heel, I think Eddie Kingston is the actual right choice. I think it's way too early to turn CM Punk heel.
Oh yeah, big time.
I'm not saying
certainly nobody is going to be booing sober and crazy Moxley here. Not after all that.
No, not at all. Yeah, it looks like this. It's like, we may have to put a pause on this heel Moxley thing for right now. At least at this point now, maybe like less than a year after he comes back.
I can definitely see that.
That's just a time frame. But hey, again, we are full on support. We are very proud that he has the strength to know he has a problem, is doing something about it, and really hoping for the best.
Absolutely. And not for nothing, I absolutely see this whole situation as talking about the time. Time is absolutely on his side now more than ever, because this, if nothing else, this is absolutely investment in you and your body and everything else. And as a guy who lost his a parent to chronic alcohol abuse 5 months before his wedding day, this is even if this is just buying him enough time to see his daughter walk down the aisle with her on his daughter's wedding day, that is worth all the time in the world. So
Absolutely.
Everyone wins. He gets healthier, he gets sober, their marriage gets better, he gets healthier, we get more time in the ring with him as fans. Everyone wins. This is a net good. And on top of everything, Jon Moxley, because I get the sense that he's much, much wiser than he lets on, did this in the absolute right way. Didn't want to lead everyone on or deceive everybody. Just putting it out there, being blunt and honest. And I believe he was rewarded for that act. So, you know what? Even more so now than ever, Godspeed, Jon Moxley. We'll see you soon. And I'm couldn't be happier that he's getting help.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And now we just get to go to the full-on negative portion of the show today.
All right, let's hop over that fence to the other company.
Yes, let's talk about WWE for a moment, because just the night before we recorded this, the latest round of WWE releases happened. So why don't you join us? We'll go down the list and we'll go one by one for the most part. Everyone who was released, look at their situation, break it down for you, and speculate where they could possibly go next. Starting with the first two matches, excuse me. The first two names I've got on the release list are Zeta Ramir and Jessie Kamia. I have to admit, I've heard the name Jessie Kamia, but I couldn't tell you who these people are from it. I'm assuming from NXT.
Most likely. Yeah. There were a few names. I'm just like, I'm sure these are just people trying to work their way up on this road, but I was like, I don't know these guys, so I can't really be sure. I mean, it's just really just more people who lost their jobs to WWE due to budget cuts.
Yeah, call it whatever you will. And I wish I knew these people and their body of work and their mindset more, so I could speculate where could they possibly go if they still decide to remain in the wrestling world. But unfortunately, I do not have this. So we're going to have to move on to the next names. And I'm going to lump these two in together for obvious reasons, Scarlett Bordeaux and Carrion Cross. Now I'm assuming going back to Killer Cross, or just Cross if his Twitter handle is to be believed. I'll pitch it back over to you. What the hell happened with these two?
It's just now Scarlett's just like, hey, let's just we're firing the guy. Might as well send his wife with him, because we're not going to do anything with her anyway, because that's essentially what they did. Just now they look like they were working on repackaging him. They were like hopefully getting rid of that stupid suit that he's been wearing on the main roster. It's good. You know what? It's another shocker. You would think of all the people like in the final days of the like original NXT, we didn't know at the time the end of the final days, but those final days of the original run of NXT, Cross was always the most main roster-esque of the bunch, and we're just thinking, this is the one guy that can actually is bred in this developmental and who can actually work on the main roster, at least with the character that was being presented at NXT. But it's just more of, yeah, whatever. It's something that we've talked about on Scholars for a long time. This, as much as I loved NXT, it's no point of getting really invested on these characters, because it was just inevitable that they were basically going to be stripped down into nothing. Whatever character they built on this developmental is not going to go up to the main roster, and they'll just basically strip. And he's the perfect example of recent memory. Like, he had a great gimmick with his wife as his what's the word? Entourage?
Valet?
Sure. It was a great gimmick, great theme song, great presentation of his character. Oh, excuse me. Great presentation of his character. And the second he joins the main roster, they completely strip him. He is just generic wrestler number 82 of WWE gaming.
Yeah,
so, this
one. I'm sorry. This one just seems to be the most baffling one to me. Not the most offensive to me personally, but the most baffling. Just because on paper, like you said, he's got everything that WWE, modern WWE, seems to be looking for. He's big, jacked up dude. He's got a literal smoke show of a fiance. Appearance wise, she's everything that they're looking for and can wrestle too. So this, I could offer a potential explanation for virtually everyone else on this list, but this one's just a full-on head scratcher. I got nothing. I'm guessing you concur.
I couldn't concur. For most of the people on this list, I couldn't agree with you more, or like with some of the people on this list. But like, he's one of the big ones that was the genuine shocker, because yeah, it looks like they were preparing him for a rebrand with like his, similar to what they did with Malachi Black. He was getting these not awesome vignettes, like hinting at a new character. Like in Cross's case, he was like wearing a nice suit and just kind of, I guess the best way to put it was just like WWE's rendition of American Psycho. At least that's how I got with these vignettes. And it was just inevitably leading to absolutely nothing. And that's just now the long run with WWE. There's now, as much as I want to try and get invested in the wrestling fan and me, there's no reason to get invested in anyone, because if you're not Roman Reigns, you're on the chopping block. It could come at any point.
So with that being said, where do you see in 90 days, where do you see these two going?
I see these guys going to Impact.
I absolutely agree. I can definitely see that there's a level of comfort and familiarity there. Plus, let's be real, Impact has improved significantly. It isn't really the word I'm going to use is cesspool that it used to be during the Dixie Carter era, during the latter portions of the Dixie Carter era. So, especially if there is a connection there with AEW, I'd say Impact, I'm going to completely agree. I'd say Impact is a perfect place for them to land.
And I could see him basically coming in as like a top heel. Actually, one of the big people that Impact can actually push, promote as one of their top stars.
I'm going to flat out say it. Put him against Christian Cage. Give him the Impact World title. Have him beat Christian Cage. I think it's an easy fix.
Didn't Christian Cage lose the title anyway?
I haven't been paying attention to Impact. I'm sorry. Either way,
throw him in the main event anyway. Champion.
Throw him in the main event anyway. He'll still fit. He's still a big draw, a portion of menace, a figure of menace. It will still work.
Yeah, I actually do think Christian lost the title, but just as you were responding, it's like, I haven't been paying attention. Well, that's what happens when Christian is one of your top stars.
I want to like
I have to
Christian.
do
I didn't want to sound mean, but I'm like, he just doesn't have that.
I don't.
He just doesn't have that same draw power as some other names. I'm sorry.
Well, you know my opinion. I've made it perfectly clear on this show my opinion on Christian for years. I still have that infamous picture of me watching Del Rio Christian match the best way I can, look in the complete opposite direction.
Oh, brother.
I can't.
Poor Christian.
He's the like, and just in response to that, I can't even like. I want to be invested in the Adam Cole and the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express and Christian. But I'm like, he's the one thing that's really dragging this thing down for me. Of course, the beatdown leads to him basically referencing the Edge and Christian days. There's like nothing he could really do to like put himself out unless he changes his theme song to the opera theme. Christian, at last you're on your own.
I still love that theme music. The guitar riffs. That was actually one of his best.
That is my favorite theme song for Christian. And maybe what's the name of the song? The When You Close Your Eyes.
I thought it was just called like
the other side.
I thought it was just called like Just Close Your Eyes or something like that.
Just Close Your Eyes. I do like that theme song too. But yeah, I still stand by what I said. He's never gonna go into like, I would say the WWE, because we're in the WWE discussion, the WWE Hall of Fame, unless it's with Edge. He's never gonna get it in a singles run.
Probably not. But moving on, elsewhere, we also have a trio of other names from NXT who may be or may not be forgettable. We've got Trey Baxter, Jeet Rama, and Katrina Cortez. Fool, do any of these names ring a bell for you?
Unfortunately, it doesn't. It's just, I guess you can throw them in with the first names. It's just, it sucks that these people are investing their lives to go into a WWE just to basically not be even given a chance.
Yeah, and it almost seems like it almost seems like there's the one and only name I recognize from this is Katrina Cortez, because she was following around Legado del Fantasma in NXT 2.0 for a while. It looked like they were going to do something with her. She had this aura about her. I thought they were really going to be doing something with her, but then nope, change of plans, I guess.
Or it's just more of this. Oh, WWE, or even earlier in the day yesterday, there's just having their quarter meeting and seeing how much money they're making. But yeah, they're still doing it for budget. They're still cutting these people for budget cuts. If you're good, just stop with that bullshit excuse. It's not working.
Yeah. With them, I don't see them. The argument could be made that they weren't really doing something really major with them. They haven't really invested that much. But the next name I've got on this list is one I was far more surprised than that. Someone who I thought they were really going to invest more in, and that's BFAB, especially when they came out when Hit Row came out on SmackDown tonight. They just weren't the same without her. Now, I've heard a whole bunch about, she's relatively green in the ring. She needs more experience, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can easily throw her in matches. It's not like she's unskilled. She just needs reps. And she just had that swagger about her. It's Hit Row just isn't the same. And I feel like they may have cut the feet off of what could have been one of their next big factions in Hit Row. What's your reaction to that?
WWE cutting the feet off one of their attractions that could actually make them legit stars. Gee, what a shocker.
I know. But still, it's just like given the speed that Hit Row were called up to the main roster, I took that as a sign that, okay, maybe the powers that be in WWE really see something in them. They really want to bring the entire act. They're freshening up the roster. They're bringing something fresh and new and engaging, and they just removed a huge chunk of their sizzle. It's very disappointing.
It's now reached that point where, again, you can't be invested in something in NXT and expect them to actually continue that success as they call up to the main roster. I mean, we've seen so many people that happen to so many people. Karrion Kross was the example beforehand. I was like, oh, if they actually do this right, Hit Row can be their next big thing. But showing up in a squash match and only background cheerleading for King Xavier, yeah, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good on where they're on where these people are going. It's annoying.
Yeah,
it's not. I can't even
really
say it's depressing. It's
too.
Annoying. It's infuriating.
Oh yeah, and one person who also
I didn't even watch SmackDown tonight, but I saw one highlight of Mansoor and Cesaro versus Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza.
Yes, they're the Lotharios now.
And of course, the second I saw, I'm like, oh, and Cesaro's the one who got the pin, who got the one who ate the pin. Yep, that's all I need to see. I don't care. I don't give a shit anymore. There's no reason for me to really, other than just really talk about it. There's nothing really that's bringing me to WWE television anymore. I am trying to find something to latch onto, but the more WWE does with all these firings and now their new frame of their new I guess I'd say frame is just young guys and their whole 6 month evaluation thing that now they're doing. It's just impossible for people to think, oh man, I'm in a wrestling business, I want to go to WWE. You don't hear that really now.
Not anymore.
Because now these new business tactics, just like, why would you want to try and invest yourself in WWE when in the end they may just, it's like you may try and move your entire life to them to try and make a name for yourself, and then 6 months, oh yeah, we're not really gonna we don't see anything in you, bye.
Yeah, no one's gonna want to go for that. I can't imagine taking a job like that, no matter how good the money is. Well, speaking of Latino luchador tag teams, we are finally done with the Lucha House Party has finally concluded because they released Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado. Apparently, Gran Metalik in particular has been really pushing for his release.
Yeah, this is the one I was just like, oh, well, they finally got. Actually, it's been both members of Lucha House Party actually been asking for their release for some time now, and they finally got their wish. And all I can see is them maybe showing up facing FTR if once their non-compete clause is up. If they're
still AAA champion,
if they're still AAA
tag champions. Yeah, I had the same thought, but then again, I know Gran Metalik is Mexican, but I think Lince Dorado is American, isn't he?
Honestly, I don't know, but still, why not have them come in? But to be fair, and also on the other side of that coin, I mean, their match, who do they face? Shit, who did they face this past week on Dynamite? Former Kalisto and oh god, I'm terrible with names. Basically, their AAA tag title match.
Yes.
I don't know why. It just didn't gel for me, to be perfectly honest. I watched that match, and I don't know, something really felt off about that title match, and the one thing I'm really noticing was their timing was just off. It just said like, I think they spent like a good like few seconds, like, okay, ready? Here we go. Here's the move. More than just having it flowing easily. They're like having to like wait a few seconds to be to prepare for the moves. I don't know. Is it that the match really felt off? And I just really had to get that out. And I even saw that even like Brian Alvarez thought the exact same thing, that the match just didn't work, didn't really feel right. It just something just didn't flow is the best way to put it.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, it's sort of making me think to this whole Lindsay Dorado Grand Metalik situation, more so than any team or combination or pairing in this entire list. In terms of where they go next, I can actually see this being the group that ends up splitting up. I can see
Mhm.
Grand Metalik going back to Mexico and wrestling for AAA, being a big star down there. I can see Lindsay Dorado returning back to the independent scene, or hopefully somewhere in the independent scene. I My gut says hopefully either NWA, MLW, or GCW maybe.
Maybe, yeah. That sounds right.
Okay,
And they're
it's
not
all I
just going to
got
be,
for now.
and no matter where they go, they won't be stereotyped into a forced. Oh yeah, they wear masks. They wear lucha masks, so they're not actually going to be pushed. They're not going to be looked at more as just a sideshow attraction, as what they did with WWE.
Hmm.
Because they could have Lucha House Party could have been something, but with how Vince McMahon looks at that type of thing, nope.
Speaking of Vince McMahon looking at something and going nope, next name on this list is Harry Smith. I'll be honest, I totally forgot they rehired him for like one dark match. And that's like, oops, sorry. No. What the hell happened here?
My question is, what was the point?
That's what I want to know. Like, what? I, I honestly am not the biggest connoisseur of shoot interviews anymore, but that's one interview I really want to hear. Like, what was he told? What was the offer? Why the one and done? Like, there's got to be a story there, if nothing else.
Hopefully, we'll hear that soon. But this was just the most mind-boggling, because he's a good-looking guy. He looks like someone who could fit in that WWE mold. But
Hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's another mystery. One thing that doesn't seem to be a bit of a mystery is this next guy this one hurts for me personally. Oni Lorcan. I guess now
Mm.
he's Biff Busick or something like that. I I, I actually haven't heard his previous name announced, but yeah, I was a big fan of this guy. I really enjoyed seeing him on my TV. This one, I have to admit though, as much as I liked him, he always seemed to be that kind of guy who almost slipped under WWE management's radar and just seemed like they never really had too much for him. This one is this one is more predictable, but still disheartening.
I guess really just in response to just how you said it, most of these names are just people who are just under WWE's creative radar. And you just look at them and just be like, we as fans can actually see something. How the hell can these people not?
This, I guess, because he never really showed off any of that character that we know he has, for at least enough to turn some heads in WWE. At least, but again, I feel like that is a serious reach here.
But the argument can be made. It's like, under these strict guidelines of basically creative and story, you can't really what's the word? You really can't put yourself out there to basically be that one spotlight in the crowd, because they don't give you that chance to shine. So it's hard to make stars when they don't try to have, or don't have these people try to show that they deserve to be there, which they've shown in other places. But because the WWE's management is so strict on their presentation, it's like, if you don't blend well with what we give you, then you're not a star. It doesn't matter what you've done in the end, it's been like this for years. It doesn't matter what you've done outside. What matters is what you do for us. But
yeah, but then again, I can also see someone like him going to Ring of Honor if they reform, or like an NWA, like an old school wrestling kind of atmosphere. I can see definitely someone picking him up.
I see NWA. That was actually one of us. Like, where do I see him going? NWA, hands down.
Yeah. Another one that I think is going to be a really clear call where she's going to head. The former Frankie Monet, now apparently back to Taya Valkyrie in 90 days. She seems like she's going to be heading back to Impact with an absolute vengeance, especially given the kind of speculation as to why she was let go. Have you heard this at all?
I was going to ask, what was it?
Supposedly because of the now new focus on younger talent.
Oh,
There was a lot of speculation that she was cut due to her age. She's 38.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I'm 38 isn't that old, kids. I can still get it done in the ring. Come on. You hired me for a reason.
It really that mindset. Yes. Now that you actually mentioned, I'm like, oh yes, I know about this, about the new age set for these people to be brought in. And what was the age set for the ladies? Like 25?
Oh, I have absolutely no idea. It's definitely in the 20s.
Yeah, and you just have to ask, like, well, what the hell do you expect? Like, it's not, you work with what you have and prepare for the future. Like, I really got, like, it's just hard to really argue now. There's no point in arguing because we can't, like, the mindset that Vince McMahon and his lackeys, his best term, his yes men really have is just, it's not going to work. Their mindset it's too much in, like, their main focus is they say their focus is the future, but if it fits, it's the future that could work in the past, because that's all they're going to be stuck behind. Because I can't even watch the new NXT now. I mean, I do like Braun Breaker. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it's just the presentation I just can't get behind. It just feels too kiddie. I put it best. It's Nickelodeon wrestling, at least when it comes to presentation.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you, and I would go a step even further and say, even though they've got pieces that I like, NXT 2.0, because of its presentation, I don't want to like it because I've got a sense of where it's going. Like you said with Braun Breaker, he's got all the tools to be a good wrestler, but I already see how this is going to end. He's just going to be the next big Hoss McGraw that they're going to send to the main roster, and then he's going to beat everybody, win the title, and just go undefeated for 3 years. It's nothing I care to see.
So you're saying he's going to be the next Roman Reigns?
I can see him doing that, or at least the next big name, unless he like totally craps the bed. He's going to be the next big name that they use within the next few years, I think.
He has to change his name. He can't be a big name with Braun Breaker with 2 Ks.
I can see them going with it and just totally straight faced. Hey, I never said it was going to be good, but elsewhere on the list, we also have this one's a little bit more confusing. Ember Moon. So far, I don't believe Ember said anything about her release yet, but it's like that's another confusing one. Just like, why?
When you're at a point when you have to really push women's wrestling, there it's pretty much going back. It's slowly turning back to the Divas era. I mean,
Unfortunately,
the big names that they're pushing right now is Carmella and Zelina Vega. And I will give them credit. They actually have gotten better in the ring, but that's not the appeal that's actually putting them in those spots. And I'm not saying, and being engaged to Corey Graves isn't a factor. It doesn't matter. It's just the look, and that's what happens when you have that mindset. It's slowly going back to Divas era wrestling.
and I've got no proof for any of this or any sort of serious evidence at all for this. But there's a part of me that if there's truth to that, which personally I think there is, unfortunately, I want to see Ember Moon go completely bonkers. I want to see her go to GCW and start having crazy matches. Like totally like, oh yeah, you want some divas? I'm going to show you some divas. Bam, light tubes or something. I want to see her go crazy.
Well, you know how I feel about that kind of wrestling. I hope she doesn't, because I really like Ember Moon, and this may be just a bias thing, but just you telling me how much of an Avatar fan she is. I mean, you see my background on my Avatar crap. That's just a big factor. I'm like, oh, I just hope she goes somewhere that they actually put on the women. Like one of their best factors is the women's wrestling, something like Impact.
I was
mean,
going to say, I didn't want to send everybody to Impact. I wanted to come up with something a little bit more inventive than that.
Oh, I don't want to send everyone to Impact either, but like for certain of the like female wrestlers, Impact has has pretty much one of the best rosters when it comes to women's wrestling. And for someone who I'm such a big fan of Ember Moon, I want her. It's like something similar to Cross. I want her to just show up and completely take over that roster.
I love, as much as I love to see it. This next name on the list is, I'm really want to hear your thoughts on this. Nia Jax, she done.
Better late than never.
Yeah, that is another one of the stories I want to hear the whole thing about, because supposedly she was going through a bit of a time when they decided to release her. All this talk about like maybe double speak and just like, oh, we're gonna do this, but then oops, now you're gone. Another one that's just ugh.
Well, I never really thought she was that great in the ring. I made it very clear. I never thought she was completely unsafe with the long list of people that she's intentionally injured. I mean, there's only one case where that actually worked to the injury worked to the benefit with Becky Lynch, but yeah, without all the other names, Bailey, Sasha Banks, oh God, I'm blanking on her name. What's her name? That she actually injured twice in 2 weeks. What is her? God, I'm terrible with names.
Twice in 2 weeks.
Asuka's partner.
Oh, Kairi Sane.
Kairi Sane. Why am I just blanking? I'm terrible with names. Kairi Sane. I mean, one with the stairs and the post, not the post, the apron and ring stairs in 2 weeks. It's just, again, it's just I just never thought she was that great. All she really had was just she was cousins with The Rock, and that was kind of her bulletproof vest. And then I just also read that a big factor with her case is that she was choosing not to get vaccinated.
I heard that same rumor too, but then it seemed like given her response, it wasn't that at all. It was other factors that seemed to
Mhm.
weigh on that more. But hey, who knows? But again,
I really
as
and I
far as
didn't. I
yes, go
actually
ahead.
haven't read her. I actually haven't read her response yet
Yeah,
because it's just. Is it
yeah, I think
just?
it's on Twitter or something. But
But
given the vibe I got, I wouldn't be shocked if she was one of the people on this list who just ended up retiring from wrestling altogether.
same. I don't see her. She's not going to do anything wrestling wise. She'll, if anything, she'll probably show up like maybe in movies,
Mm.
being something esque to what Gina Carano did with some film roles. I can see her filling in that kind of void. But I don't. And when it comes to in ring work, I don't see her going anywhere. And quite honestly, I don't see anybody really wanting her
Mm.
because of the reputation she got herself in WWE about just being an unsafe worker.
And on that somewhat similar note, I'm just going to say her name now, Eva Marie.
See you next time they rehire you.
This honestly, that
She's
was
just the one
another
that keeps
name that I
coming
thought was
back.
going to. I thought she was going to retire. I thought she was going to retire. You think she's going to be hired back at some point?
Probably, I see that more happening than of anyone else on this name. Because,
Hmm.
and she says she's going to retire from wrestling. She said that a couple of times in the past. But
Hmm.
if yeah, it's just I was kind of shocked because that's just another one of those like names that I'm just like, oh, she's the perfect fill for the slowly returning diva era in WWE. But yeah, she's gone. Like, yeah, it's just a matter of time she comes back. I'll be shocked if she doesn't come back.
And with that brings us to our final two names on the list, which are arguably one of the more shocking ones to me personally, Keith Lee and Mia Yim.
See you in AEW.
Yeah, Keith Lee is like the one pickup. As much as I still want them to save all their pennies to pay for Wyndham, once they take care of him, once they bring on Bray Wyatt, Bray Wyndham Wyatt, whoever, Fiend guy, as long as they bring him in first, the second name on the list of people who I would love to see in AEW, Keith Lee is an easy number two.
There's this meme that I saw earlier today that just shows that ending scene of Fresh Prince of Bel Air of Will Smith standing in the living room with all the furniture gone, but it's Triple H's head, and you just see the old NXT logo at the door, and just like and saying, once Triple H comes back, he just sees all the work that he's done completely gone, and Keith Lee was kind of like the biggest thing that he was working on. I mean, this is just one of those things that how could you fuck this up so hard? I mean, Triple H was basically working his ass off. I mean, he didn't need to work his ass off. He just did anyway, just to push how amazing and how charismatic and how great of a character Keith Lee is. I mean, he was the first one to win both the United States and the NXT championship at the same time, correct?
I believe that's accurate.
Yeah, he was being pushed so hard and it was working because Keith Lee can back it up in the ring. He puts on these great matches. He showed up in the Royal Rumble and stand toe to toe with Brock Lesnar.
Uh, Big boy. Like
He was
that
like
was hype.
you were thinking, oh, like how like this is so great when you think, okay, he's one of those guys that WWE is just you can't fuck this up in the main when he joins the main roster.
Lo and
And WWE,
behold,
and it's just amazing to be proven wrong again. Like it is really mind-boggling how much when you go to like when you jump to the main roster from NXT, at least NXT 1 or whatever the form it is, because I kind of count the game show aspect as NXT 1. all right, NXT 1 as an actual official brand. We'll go with that. But Keith Lee was that perfect gift that is just the essentials. Like, think this is one guy that's going to succeed big in the main roster. WWE has to be very bad to really screw this up.
Lo and
They
behold,
and it blew my expectations on how badly they screwed this up. Like, oh my God. Even now with the new character that they were trying to push with the Bearcat gimmick, he was just essentially another big guy. He wasn't showing off any of the talent that he has. He was just, oh, I'm a big man, so I will do my big man move.
And they totally neutered him. And it was clear that he wasn't comfortable working that style. It wasn't him.
It wasn't him. And yeah, it is like, we've read in the past how much that Vince McMahon didn't follow NXT. But my God, you seriously can't screw this up. Like, it is like literally a talent to screw this up so bad. To basically, I think they did him worse than Carrion Cross.
Honestly, I'll agree with that statement. Just, it's too much unrealized potential.
Like, because I like Carrion Cross. I like to see it. He was like, when it comes to the in-ring stuff, he was good. He wasn't great. It just really depended on who he was working with. Keith Lee could have worked with anybody and put on a great match. And like, he was one of those guys that could be a WrestleMania main event guy.
Mm-hmm. But instead, I think we all see him going to AEW above anybody other name on this list. But in terms of Mia Yim, I see her again going back in a position where they can really use her to her maximum potential, and just going back to Impact, this time under a real name.
Sure, she wouldn't stay with Keith Lee wherever he goes.
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible, but then again, none of us know how deep. None of us know how deep Tony Khan's pockets run at this point, or how much their budgets are for talent.
I don't know. I see them going somewhere together.
Well, hey, regardless of where they end up, or I certainly would not scoff at that. I would love to see it. But anyway, those are our thoughts and reflections upon all of the recent WWE releases. As much as the future may be confusing and scary, there is a place for each and every single one of these people, and there's a lot of talent to be had. And really, the world is yours, people. The wrestling world is yours, and their hands, and the bookers will be out there.
All I can really now say with them, like, it really kills me to say this, but to just let him go, get him out of there. I kind of wish they kind of released Cesaro, because I just don't want him in WWE anymore. And
I can see that.
Yeah, like I said earlier, what they did with him on SmackDown and just having him take the pin, like, it just further solidified. I'm super excited for him versus Walter on that live show, whenever it is. I will basically go wherever I can to try and pirate that match. That is the match that I would love to see. And hopefully that's something that could wake up, just as a reminder that, yeah, this guy's more than just basically a put over guy. This guy could be fucking put in the title match. I mean, Big E even said on interviews, like, he's surprised that Cesaro hasn't won a world title yet. It's mind-boggling how he hasn't won a world title. He's one of big attractions. Fans actually connect with him. How the?
Unfortunately, it seems like WWE are just playing their hand at this point, far more than ever.
This is to Vince McMahon. This is to Bruce Pritchard. This is to John Laurinaitis. Fuck you guys. I hate you with all my guts. I hope you disappear soon. So whoever takes control of WWE, whether you sell the company or whether or not Triple H and Stephanie actually take over or whatever. I don't, Nick Khan, you too. I mean, yeah, you're happy with how things are going with NXT. I cannot, like, for someone like WWE was the reason I became like, was the thing that put me as a wrestling fan, and just to see how far it's fallen. It's just mind-boggling how much hate is just building up for this company, or at least for the people running this company.
Yeah, I've absolutely been there myself, but at this point, I am just over all the anger. There's no more anger, just a whole lot of just
like,
what I expect.
Yeah, it is what to expect. It is. Oh, trust me, I expect it too. It's just more and more mind-boggling just how much oh yeah, it's what you can expect in WWE. But oh, hello. Oh, we got a little guest here.
Okay.
We have a little guest. Hey, bud. You want some water? All right, I'll get you water when I'm done, okay? No? Okay.
All right.
But yeah, more and more just
absolutely.
Here, I'll pour that.
But yeah, at this point, I'm just waiting for the next AEW show to come around so we can just I'm willing to pay good money for to see live. Just whatever it is, come to our neck of the woods. I'll buy tickets. But then again, those are our predictions. Those are our thoughts on the state of wrestling today. And of course, do you agree with us? We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Where is everyone going to go? Drop us a line all across the internet, Facebook posts, YouTube comments, and our personal favorite, the Twitter machines. Start us off by following us at ScholarsOW for all the latest episode uploads every single week. And join us on our personal accounts to join the chats and the live tweets and all the conversation to follow. Where can I reach you?
You can reach me at the Avatar, venting out more of my frustrations at WWE and my love with AEW. I guess, yeah. Because I don't want to say I'm an AEW bitch, but it's just harder and more to just be like, yeah, they keep putting on they keep doing more good. That is just hard not to say that I gotta just tip my invisible hat to them.
And you'll see me doing the same at I'm Robbie Rage. Join the conversation. It's always a riot. But then again, you already knew that because you know who we are. We're the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
See you all next week for Full Gear.
Now I got to go back to being a parent.